Good morning, class. My name is Ruth Dolan. I'm trying to get my presentation out of the way before I get on the road here. I don't know if you all heard about that tornado that happened in Tennessee. Well, my family wasn't involved, and so we're on our way out the door here in a little bit after I submit this assignment. So let me get started here. I have chosen chapter 1, and I really wanted to talk about the strengths. Actually, I thought the overall book was a great addition to just any pastor or any leader, any Bible teacher, because it does have a lot of background on first century Christianity. And a lot of times people that are skeptic, have questions. And I think right now, especially with the way that things are abruptly changing dramatically in just in different ways on, some things that are just being accepted. And people just don't know how to react to it. They think it's like out of this world, but then we look at history and we see that it's happened before. And even when you look at some of the instances, it almost seems like it was worse before. At least for me, when the chapter that talked about the exposure of babies, like we have abortions nowadays, but it wasn't like back then, right? So things were much worse back then. But so as far as, I'm sorry, I feel like my brain's all over the place because I'm just trying to get down to Tennessee to go get my mother. But anyway, the one chapter that for me, I guess spoke the most was the fact that he included Paul, because to me, or for anybody, testimony is huge in order to convert someone. And the reason I say this is because for me, my testimony has been a catalyst, not just for myself, but for many people around me, to where I'm able to hold my ground as to the before and after. I'm able to fight for what I believe in because of the conversion that happened in Christ. And so for that to be included, let me go to it in the chapter. Although we see it in the Bible, we see it in the epistles that he writes, we see, the claims that he makes. This book brings a little more, it expands, right? It expands on what he believed in prior to, excuse me. And now in his letters on how he lets the people know, the churches, right, that he lets them know that this is what I used to believe in. I used to persecute Christians, and this is why, right? Here where it talks about Paul's language, right? Specifically his reference to seal, suggests as possible connection to ancient Jewish traditions that allowed for and even called for the justifiable use of violence by Jews against fellow Jews deemed guilty of some major and public violation of God's law, right? So before he'd go to the extent as to persecute those that were in violation of the law. But then after his conversion, he is a totally different person, and to me that speaks volumes just for anybody, as I was saying. And like I said, specifically for me, I am a veteran, so I'm able to kind of speak a little bit as to what it was like in a country such as Afghanistan, in a third world country, where people are oppressed, and then coming back home, how immediately, I was able to appreciate the freedoms that we have in this country. And so that actually helps me when I teach, on this specific topic, as far as like, how am I able to so easily defend my faith and what I stand for. It's not only because of what I've seen, because I have to say that I deployed multiple times, and my first deployment, even though I saw the things that I saw, the oppression and all that, I wasn't a Christian, so I didn't feel sorry for the people. And so some of the readings in this book kind of reminds me of that, where it talks about, like Pliny and Galen and Marcus Aurelius, the pagans, on how they viewed Christians, right? They were different. They were accepting and loving and caring, and so that's a strength for me, that in the book where it talks about, how these pagans, how they saw how Christians treated other people. Because I can say, looking back now, I know that before my conversion, I was the same person, where I went to this third world country and I had no pity for these people that were oppressed. To me, they were a common enemy. But then coming home, and I gave my life to Christ, that change, that conversion, it opens your eyes to just a new way of thinking, right? So I was then, the second time around that I went back to Afghanistan, I was able to, to be more observant of the people, more loving and more accepting. So realistically, I had a hard time finding weaknesses. But all in all, I feel like, the value of just everything that this book covered for us to understand New Testament and early Christianity, I think it can help for those that might be struggling right now, to defend their faith, because things are not as bad as they are, or as they were back then. And honestly, we are so spoiled in this country that it's hard for us to see those freedoms and even fight for what we believe in, because we're not oppressed. Some may think they are, but they're not. You go to a third world country and then you begin to appreciate just the freedom that you have here, and you begin to appreciate how much they defend their faith, because they have that hope, they have that freedom in Christ. Realistically, that's bottom line all I have. Wish everybody the best. It's been a long 8 weeks, but I'm ready to sign off. God bless.